My name is Henriette Mutegwaraba, and I'm from Rwanda. Rwanda is a very small country in Central West Africa with a population of 13 millions. A very beautiful country with a lot of hills. As a matter of fact, our country is called a land of 1,000 hills. I grew up in a large family with 5 siblings, a lot of cousins, a lot of aunties, a lot of friends who remains in our family for years, to the point that you don't even call them friends anymore. And I don't know if it's something about the Rwandan culture. When you have people who are friends of yours for so many years, you start calling them cousins. So it was a huge family. There was always a party at my house Saturday, and my mom would just cook for everybody. It was such a joy. In our country, we have 3 tribes. We have the Hutu, we have the Tutsi, and we have the Twa. Many years ago, in 1932, I would say, a racial identity was introduced in our country, where everybody had identity that is showing which race you belong to, which tribe you belong to. Our history goes way back, where our tribe was discriminated and oppressed for so many years. I remember the very first time when I went home with a lot of questions, because at a school, our teacher made us stand up, Hutu people, kids on one side, and the Tutsi kids on one side. And I didn't know what size I was going to go in, but the teacher knew my family very well. So when I ended up to the side of Hutu people, she corrected them. She said, "No, you're not a Hutu, you're Tutsi." So when I went home, I started asking those questions. What is the difference between a Hutu and Tutsi? They have already drawn this picture of how a Tutsi should look like. It's a tall person with a long nose. The government will say, we don't look like them. We don't look like other African, the Rwandese people in our country. We're taller, we have a smaller nose, so we must be from a different part of the world. So sometimes I will hear my grandma dropping comments of how tall the kids were, and that will scare her to death. And you can tell in her face, another tall one is being born, another skinny one is being born. So it means that we're not safe. The very first time when I was like 17 years old, I was in a classroom with a lot of other kids. Of course, I was sitting in the back because I was tall. I was surprised with 2 policemen in the classroom. They asked the teacher if I can, follow them. So as a young girl, there I was following 2 men with big guns, and I was questioned about my family. I was falsely accused of being a spy for the Tutsis who lived outside the country. I was intimidated, I was scared, I was crying. I wasn't sure if I was going to come back. But then after hundreds and hundreds of questions, they sent me back to school. And I remember when I entered the classroom, and everybody started chanting that I was a snake, that I was a cockroach, because they didn't see us as human beings. We were cockroaches or snake, anything than human being. And the Hutu kids actually went to the headmaster's office and said that they cannot be in the school with us. So they started sending us a lot of kids home, Tutsi kids home. You cannot attend school here, you cannot attend school here. But I didn't go home that time because it was not safe. I went to my auntie's house because my aunt was married a Hutu man. So having a Hutu man in the family, it was a protection. And when I went to my auntie's home, who was married a very radical Hutu man, all the meetings were happening in the house of how the planning of genocide. As a girl in our culture, when you're in a house, you are the one. The housekeeper can make the food, but you're the one to take it to those people. You're the one to serve them. Knowing what they're talking about, knowing what they're planning, but also I have to be the one to bring them a cup of tea or a meal. And this man who used to come to the meetings, he stopped me at the bus stop and he told me he's gonna kill me. when we started to kill people, you are my first target. I went home, I get home really late, and I told my aunt, and she looked at me, she said, I don't think there is a safe place for us anymore in this country. Yeah, there wasn't. I was far away from my family. Most of the time, I was thinking about what was happening to me, but also I was worried about my family. Because I wasn't sure if the same thing I was going through, if they were going through the same thing at the same time. There was no way to communicate with them or to talk about those things. At that time, actually, they published a lot of newspapers with the cartoons showing that Tutsi people are the enemy of the country, they are cockroaches, they are snakes. There were radio, television, mirroring. They published the 10 Commandments, Hutu 10 Commandments in their newspapers, which means Tutsi cannot do this, Tutsis are not allowed to go to school, you cannot marry a Tutsi woman, Tutsis are not good in business, and it was intense propaganda, an intense propaganda behind this genocide. Our homes were being searched. Wake up in the morning, there's officials in front of your house searching for guns that they never found, accusing you of stuff that you have never done. April 1994, when it was now official, and on the radio and TVs, they called every Hutu person in the country and tell them to grab machetes, any traditional weapons, and go to the Tutsis family. They told them that they wanted to make sure that there was no a survivor of the killings. Nobody was supposed to survive. They killed the children, they raped women, they destroyed our homes, they killed our animals. Every single thing was gone. The genocide lasts for 100 days, and in those 100 days, 1 million of people were killed. We lived by the border of Burundi, so I have already made it. Me and my cousins, we had already made it outside the country. We were in Burundi. Well, I was watching the TV, of course, the whole time, and seeing the, people being just killed with machetes, and we throw them in a river, and
they would just show this on TV?
On TV, yes. And I knew that knowing how my family was known in the area, and how thorough everybody was in my family, of course, I knew that, of course, some people have been killed. I wasn't sure who. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because I knew that my family was in danger. I kept hoping that there would be a survivor in my family. And I kept praying at that time that I would see them again. So I went back to the village that was, it's called Ngozi. It was crossing the border, and there were a lot of refugees coming from Rwanda at that time. Hospitals packed with wounded people at that time. And I would go to the hospital to search and see if I can see even a wounded person from my family. So I searched for days and days and days, and I didn't find anybody from my family. So I knew that, so they did not make it out. Then I received a letter from my father's cousin, and somebody have told him that my whole family was killed. That sometimes you don't have the words to explain when you lose the people that you love. You kind of lose yourself, and you don't see the future, you don't see the present, you don't want it to be there, you wish you were dead, but you're still there, you're still breathing. I have already decided that I will remain a refugee for years because there was no way to go back home. There was nothing to go back home for. A few days later, I received a letter from my sister because I have a sister who survives. And the letter was exactly saying that everybody was killed, my mother, brothers and sisters and uncles and everybody. But I'm here and I survived. And she said, you need to come back to me. I was like, yeah, this is the reason to go back home. I was really extremely happy to see her. But also I was so sad because she was so young and she didn't have to go through what she went through. And when I was there, it was such a joy. It was such a joy, but also have no words to comfort her. I wanted to comfort her. I wanted to tell her that we're gonna be okay. And I wasn't sure if I was in a position to say those words to her. It's a very complicated situation that I would never wish any other human being can go through. During that time after genocide, I would say that Jesus found me. And he found me that time when I was lost. I was in the darkest time of my life. And I remember just passing by one of the very small churches in our neighborhood. And I started talking to myself, how can I join this church? Not knowing that inside the church, there were two pastors inside praying and fasting for 3 days. So one of them opened the door and they let me in. And he asked me, do you want to receive Jesus Christ in your life? I didn't know what receiving Jesus Christ in my life meant. But I said yes. And ever since I said yes, my life changed and changed forever. As my relationship was growing, when I learned how to read the Word of God and praying, he healed me. He gave me hope. He gave me a family. The church, when I joined the church became my family. People would come and visit me. I joined the choir. I joined the prayer warrior group. I never felt alone. He introduced me to the right people at the right time, who understood what I was going through. And then he gave me a purpose. I felt that I was called to help survivors of genocide. I was asking God, why did I survive? What can I do? Where do you need me? And when I found a job over there, I really knew, it was clear to me that that's where God needed me. I would see a lot of people, hurting people coming to me and open up and sharing the stories that I have never shared with anybody. I really saw the hand of God and how God was sending people who are hurting to me so I can comfort them and pray for them. And then while I was working there, I met good people who are missionaries from the US, and they offered me to come to God's school here, so I came here as an international student. Well, I got a job here in Houston. I was asking God to give me a church. One time I was driving by and I saw Second Baptist, and I said, you know what, I should probably give it a shot and go visit this church. The very first time actually I came to a fellowship here, at the entrance I met a couple. They stopped right there when they saw me, and they asked me if that was my first time. I said, yeah, this is my first time. So they asked me to sit with them. They hugged me, they were very friendly, and I said, yes, this is the sign, this is my church. Second Baptist is a family to me. I love the friends that I have here, that I have made. I love the pastors. I love what they do for the community, what did they do for mission they do in other countries. It's really amazing to see the work that they do, and that's what keeps me coming back to Second Baptist. My whole family goes, my sister and the kids come to this church as well, attend Second as well. We are all created in the image of God, and nobody's superior. When God sees us, He loves us the same way. He loves me the same way He loves the same person who killed my family. It was poisoning to me to not be able to let it go and to forgive those people. And I remember praying and saying, Lord, I wanted to be able to do what you're calling me to do, which is to forgive those people who killed my family. As a matter of fact, the person who killed my father, he sent me a message through my aunt, and he wanted me to forgive him. He sent a message, I know that she survived, and I want her to forgive me. And I told my aunt, when you ever see him again, tell him that he was forgiven many, many years ago. Even if it's really difficult, even if it seems impossible and it looks impossible, and the people around you, they are telling you that it is impossible, but nothing is impossible to Him. Ever since I received Jesus Christ in my life, the most complicated journey of my life, the aftermath of genocide, the pain from what I lost and who I lost, even though the journey is difficult, but I am not walking the journey by myself. He's always holding in my hands. And He started holding my hands the very first time when I said yes to Him. It felt like I gave Him my hand, and He held it, and He never let it go. He's always beside me. I'm so thankful for the gift of salvation. I'm so thankful for my family. Every single moment when I get up and I jump from my bed and raise my hand and say, thank you, Lord. This is a new day. I'm so thankful just being alive and being here to recover from the pain and the past. And this is a new me. He restored my joy. And nobody can take it away from me again, ever.